Hey, welcome to a brand new episode of Undisputed Nerds. I'm your host, Zane, and this week it's just going to be me and you. We're going to take a look at some of our favorite things in the world, that is, movies, TV shows, and comic books. Be part of the conversation, use the comments down below, and let me know what you think of all the things we're going to cover today. We're going to cover Star Wars, Marvel, DC Comics as well as some of the movies like The Marvels and TV shows like The Penguin. There's a lot of thes in today's episode. So, be part of the conversation. Let me know your thoughts and everything. As always, this episode is sponsored by Surfshark VPN. More from today's sponsor later on. But let's kick things off with The Marvels. How many of you saw this trailer come out this week? Now, if you are listening to the audio version of this podcast, we're currently on youtube.com and we're having a look at some of the screen steals and screenshots from the new trailer that came out. And I got to be honest, like, I actually enjoyed the trailer. It kind of made me feel at ease a little bit. This looks like a really fun movie. I think Ms. Marvel is going to steal the show with her like overreactions to everything we've seen before in a weird way. Now, this is going to be like a weird take. I think this movie is going to, in some ways, be a lot like Lethal Weapon. I don't know why I kind of put those two things in my mind. Like maybe Captain Marvel, Brie Larson's Carol Danvers is going to be like the Riggs. Maybe Monica Rambeau is going to be like the Donald Glover character, the kind of serious ones to the straight man to the Riggs. You know what I mean? Like to Brie Larson's kind of kooky Riggs. Because she's been off world for years, right? So she's not going to be the same like character, I would have thought, especially in that shot where she has like the funky hat and she's kind of like peering through. It's kind of like giving me those vibes, like she might be slightly kooky but not too kooky. I don't know how I'm explaining this, but I'm excited. I think it's going to be really fun. This is supposed to take place after Secret Invasion, I believe. So I am unsure if Nick Fury is going to die at the end of Secret Invasions now, because it looks like he's smarting up for this movie. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But I'm excited. I don't think it deserves. I've seen a few articles this week say how it's had a ton of dislikes on YouTube, and it's just kind of like, I mean, yeah, maybe it won't be great. You know, Marvel, well, more so the cinematic universe has taken a lot of L's recently, and maybe this might be one in a long line of it. But I like the look of this. Willing to give it a chance. I think it's going to be fun, and let's see, let's see. I don't think this is going to hit $1 billion by any means, but I think it's in a weird way. It's strange. Like the closest thing we've had to this in recent years is the Spider-Man movie, where we had like all three Spider-Men. Now, it's different because they've all had franchise movies leading up to this. Marvel's had one movie, cameos in others. Rambeau made a cameo in WandaVision. Of course, Ms. Marvel had her own series that's leading into this. So it's I don't think it's going to reach the same levels as that Spider-Man movie did. But it's interesting, like they've kind of taken that formula to kind of run with this. So again, yeah, I'm interested to see where they're going with it. I'd like to thank the sponsor of today's video, Surfshark VPN, who have given me, now get this, 83% off plus 3 months free. So if you've been meaning to pick up a VPN, now might be the time. Surfshark is a trusted VPN to help you protect your privacy online. whether that's protecting yourself from malicious websites or if you're in a public Wi-Fi connection, you can keep your information locked down. Surfshark's clean web feature blocks ads, trackers, malware, and phishing attempts, allowing you to surf the web safely. Plus, it lets you change your virtual location. So if there's an anime on Netflix that's not available in your country, but say in Japan, guess what? You're in Japan now. You want to use BBC iPlayer to watch all of Doctor Who. So pick up Surfshark using the link in the description down below. Use code Undisputed Nerds and get 83% off and 3 months free. At the time of recording, I'm kind of aging this podcast now. Last week was the Star Wars celebration that took place right here in the UK, which is amazing. Sadly, I didn't get to go, but I know some friends who did, and they had, great time and a great experience. But of course, there was a ton of Star Wars news that came out of the celebration. And again, I've seen so many different reactions to all of this, from Star Wars Vision Season 2, which I'm personally looking forward to, of course. As a big anime fan, I love the first Star Wars Visions, which we discussed on the Undisputed Anime Podcast. But one of the highlights was the Ahsoka announcement. Well, more so the trailer. I was kind of curious in terms of where they were going to go with the Ahsoka story. A big fan of the Clone Wars animation series, and of course the most recent Star Wars Rebels, where Ahsoka's journey carries on throughout. Although it's not a main focus, I would say, in Rebels, it certainly carries on. And of course, the cameos that we've seen, not only in The Mandalorian, but the Book of Bob, as we like to call him on this podcast. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where that journey goes. The introduction of these other characters with orange lightsabers is really interesting. And yeah, I'm excited. I have to admit, this trailer was just an absolute banger. Like, it got me really hyped up for the series. So yeah, I'm really interested to see where Dave Filoni wants to go with this character, and everything else. I think it's going to be really fun to watch. Other Star Wars news: Andor, season 2 has been confirmed. It's a no-brainer. Again, it's really divided people in terms of their experience with the first season. Some people think it was really boring and really long. Personally, I thought it was gave it so much gravitas and texture, and it made it. I can't even put it into words, I think. But I really enjoyed that series. So again, I'm kind of interested to see what more Tony Gilroy's got to explore with this character. We know it's really weird. We know the end of Andor because of the events of Rogue One, but what a series! It's so good. Skeleton Crew. I mean, it's being directed by John Watts, who's just come off the back of 3, say what you will, amazing Spider-Man movies with collaboration with Sony and Marvel. So again, it's going to be interesting to see what this is all about. I've heard mixed things, like it's some sort of coming of age story and stuff. Jude Law is going to be the main character, or at least a main role in this. So again, it's going to be interesting to see Jude Law in Star Wars. Stranger things have happened. So yeah, I'm interested in that one. Bad Batch season 3. I've been vocal about this on the podcast. I've kind of really struggled with season 2. It feels like it's taken a corner in terms of there being stakes now, and you can kind of see the road it's laying, where it wants to go. And kind of, again, this could be a spoiler or not, but there seems to be a focus on the cloning process, or what the cloning process could mean for the wider scope of Star Wars, which feels like the end road is how it could facilitate Palpatine's his re-emergence in the sequel trilogy. So it feels like they're kind of laying the groundwork for an explanation of why Palpatine came back, instead of the Rise of Skywalker's he's back. I don't know why, but he's back. I'm pretty sure those are the lines that Oscar Isaac delivers. So yeah, again, Dave Filoni seems to be just doing the best work ever when it comes to Star Wars. So again, it feels like Bad Batch season 2. Certainly, these last couple of episodes have turned a corner and feels a little bit more akin to previous Star Wars animation in terms of its storytelling and such, instead of these kind of villain of the week feels. You know what I mean? So yeah, season 3, I think it's going to be the final season, I read somewhere, but it's been fun. It's been fun seeing the clones and such. So yeah, interested to see where that goes. Tales of the Jedi season 2. That was a real fun series. Again, felt like it came out of nowhere. I think it was only 6 episodes last May, of course, during the last sort of Star Wars Day calendar, I guess you could say. Again, that was really fun. So I get to see a season 2. It's amazing Count Dooku stories there, that I kind of explored his turn to the dark side, how he went from being a Jedi to, of course, being the Sith Lord Count Dooku. So yeah, I wonder what other stories they could bring to life. Mandalorian's been in a really weird place right now. I've never known people to be this vocal about, well, not so much being this vocal, but from what I'm seeing and hearing, people don't seem to be that keen on the current season, which is season 3 of The Mandalorian. And I don't know if it's this whole focus on Bo-Katan and restoring the Mandalorians, and Pedro Pascal's Mando is taking a little bit of a backseat. The same with Grogu. Instead of they're not the focus, it's more the focus on the Mandalorians and Mandor and legacy and things of that nature. Personally speaking, I really enjoyed the second season. And I don't know if that's because I love the lore behind the Mandalorians and things of that nature. But I really enjoyed this season. I felt like the action was really cool. I guess it's that one episode in the middle that's really kind of thrown people off, where it follows that scientist who feels like, again, the cloning sort of process could be used for numerous things, such as helping veterans with missing limbs from the Clone Wars and all sorts. So yeah, it's really interesting. Well, I think he had a speech about, again, helping people who are missing limbs and using the cloning process to help with that, and numerous other ways that the cloning process could maybe help modern science and things, which is really interesting concept. But yeah, a lot of people seem to have fallen off Mandalorian around that episode, or again in general. It seems like a lot of people seems to have switched off just because the shift. And I've seen a couple of arguments kind of point out that maybe if people hadn't watched the rest of, say, for example, the Book of Boba, it's going to be a jarring experience going from season 2 of Mandalorian, where you see Luke take Grogu, and take him to train him. And then you go to the beginning of season 3 and Grogu and Mando are back together, having fun and stuff. So yeah, I wonder if that's got a part to play in it, where people just didn't bother watching Book of Bob. Either way, I'm excited for a season 4. I love the series. Jon Favreau is a genius in my eyes, so why wouldn't I want to see more of this? In other news, what have we got here? Ba-bow. The Mandalorian movie. Now, this is really interesting. So, there was numerous movie announcements. One included a movie being directed by Dave Filoni. Now, it seems that all of these shows that we've been watching, again, the Book of Boba Fett, the Skeleton Crew, Ahsoka, they're all going to come together almost like an Avengers style big movie to kind of wrap everything up, I guess. So that's a really interesting concept, that all of this is going to head to. Personally speaking, I think it's a really cool idea. I don't know, is there ever been a TV show that's been that ambitious, where it's kind of the payoff is in a massive movie? Interesting. Let me know in the comments if there's anything you can think of. But I think what's more interesting is a live action movie being directed by Dave Filoni. Again, he has been doing some incredible work over the last, I guess, nearly 20 years of Star Wars movies, TV show. Well, no, movies, TV shows, animated, and everything else. So I think it's going to be incredible that he gets to do his first Star Wars movie going forward. So really exciting, an incredible storyteller. Yeah, I can't wait to see what he does there. Star Wars: The Dawn of the Jedi. This has been something that a lot of fans have been asking for, instead of kind of being stuck in this era around Luke and Vader and all these stories that take place in this part of Star Wars that we're all familiar with. Why not go back to another era that has, again, been a fan favorite for numerous years, from Star Wars literature to, I think, even other video games as well. So it's really interesting that we're finally going back, and if I'm right in thinking, let's just have a quick look. Yeah, 25,000 years in the past. It's exciting. We'll get to see Jedi Order, I guess, close to when they first get founded and things of that nature. What's really interesting is that this is being directed by James Mangold. James Mangold is famous for directing the Wolverine movie, the last one with Hugh Jackman, Old Man Logan. I think he did the other Wolverine movies as well. Samurai one called. But there you go. He's also directing the Indiana Jones and Dial of Destiny, which the visuals look insane, especially the de-aging of Harrison Ford. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what his vision, his take on Star Wars is going to be. Again, I know from things I've read, there's, for example, the style of lightsaber. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what his vision is. It'll be interesting to see who he casts as well, like what sort of actors we'll get to see in this. Will we get to see some actors we're more familiar from the MCU. Like, I'm pretty sure there's been rumors that Chris Evans has been interested in doing a role in Star Wars for years. Hey. Yeah, be interested. Could we ever see Hugh Jackman in a Star Wars movie? Again, being directed by James Mangold. Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea at all. Now, this story has been, I think, the one at the front of a lot of people's minds. So this story here that there's a movie being created called Star Wars New Jedi Order. Now, the reason this has been at the forefront of a lot of minds, more specifically Star Wars fans, is that we will get to see Daisy Ridley reprise her role as Rey Skywalker. It feels weird to say that out loud. Rey Skywalker. Now, of course, Rise of Skywalker wasn't, well, I don't know. It's, again, a hot topic, isn't it? It's one of those things that at the time it did make ridiculous money at the box office. But the perception is it's not, well, it's not a great Star Wars movie, no matter how you really dissect it. It was definitely a sort of knee-jerk reaction compared to the other movies in terms of, again, what the direction of it and things of that nature. But I digress. What's really interesting is Daisy Ridley coming back. And again, they're kind of trying to move forward with the sort of Star Wars franchise. What is the future going to look like in the Star Wars universe now that the First Order is gone? There's no more Palpatine, I hope, because they need to let that go. And again, there's been so much Star Wars literature, you know, I can't remember the terminology of I think it's referred to as legacy canon. But again, there's been so much Star Wars literature and stuff that kind of pushes forward. And it'd be really interesting to see how much they draw on that to create this new Jedi Order. Again, I know there's been numerous video games like Star Wars Academy, which is one of my personal favorites, Star Wars Outcast, which again kind of goes beyond the events of Return of the Jedi and everything else. So it'd be interesting to see where they go with this. I'm really interested to see what people's thoughts are. Of course, you hear the loudest ones, but I'm really interested to see, are people excited about this? Are you excited to see Daisy Ridley come back as Rey? I think Rey wasn't the worst part, believe it or not. I think it's everything else around it. Same with the other characters. Say what you will, but John Boyega's Finn. When you watch that first movie, he is fantastic in it. It just feels like his role gets knocked down and down and down the pecking order. Similar with Oscar Isaac and Poe. He had such a charming role, and again, it just kind of seems to deteriorate over the time. The same way with BB-8's popularity. It just kind of, yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things. I'm really interested to see what people's thoughts are on that one. But let's move on to other news. I'm going to touch on one last Star Wars article, and then we'll move on to some other bits and pieces. Taika Waititi has been in the works. Well, Taika has been working on a Star Wars movie for quite some time. And it's going to be really interesting to see what his take on the Star Wars universe and his vision's going to be. For those that are unaware, he has played a role in The Mandalorian. He plays as the the assassin robot that looks after Grogu. So it's not like he's unfamiliar with certain story beats that are currently taking place. But yeah, it'd be really interesting to see what his project is, how it fits with the rest of the Star Wars continuity. Again, it feels like he's just working on loads of projects at the moment. Of course, he was working on Thor: Love and Thunder. There's the rumor Akira movie that he's working on for quite some time. So yeah, I really hope this is kind of a return to form. Because that Thor: Love and Thunder movie was yikes. What can I say? I mean, we have said it before on our previous episodes. It's just not a great movie. So again, I'm really interested to see what his take on the Star Wars universe is, and yeah, what to expect from it, I guess, more so than anything. Is it going to be a story about bounty hunters? Is it going to be a story about Siths? Or is it going to be something completely different? Again, it'd be really interesting to see what vision will look like. Are you guys excited for Taika's Star Wars? Again, let me know. I'm going to probably fire through some of these announcements. In recent news, let's make that a little bigger. There we go. In recent news, the full cast for the Creature Commandos have been announced, including Frank Grillo as Rick Flag Sr., which I think is really fun. One name that stuck out to me, and I couldn't believe it, is David Harbour is Eric Frankenstein. Wow. So David Harbour is going to be part of the DC, James Gunn's DC universe, but as Frankenstein. Now, we know this is going to be animated, but all of the animated characters we see, all the voice actors who portray them will also portray them in live action at some point. So again, we'll get to see David Harbour make up to the nines as Einstein, as Frankenstein in the near future. So crazy idea. I'm a little bit excited. Knowing James Gunn, he does amazing well with these kind of wacky characters that are usually kind of like C to D in comic lines. So yeah, he's always got great stories to tell with these fun characters. Just looking at them, I get the sort of Doom Patrol or Umbrella Academy sort of vibe. I guess it's kind of like a family of freaks that come together, or misfits that come together. Yeah, I'm really interested to see what will happen there. It's going to be fun, I think. I think it's going to be really fun. Earlier this week, we got the trailer of The Penguin. Wow, what a trailer. Like, I can't believe it's... What's weird to me is the fact that, like, Matt Reeves has taken this character and just kind of propelled him into a new concept. It's just amazing. This kind of Sopranos-esque character in the world of Gotham and Batman and DC and everything. So excited for this. So excited. And what's crazy to me as well is a couple of years ago, we had a similar concept that happened in the form of the Gotham TV series, where you got to see this version of Penguin work his way up to being the crime boss of Gotham and such. This one feels like night and day in comparison to that version, but at the same time, this is so exciting. Something that's stuck with me as well is the line at the end of the trailer where Penguin says he's going to be the kingpin of Gotham. And I was like, wow, that sort of keyword, uh, the way to kind of make inline him almost synonymous, like almost, how am I saying this? The way the use of that word instantly makes you think of, you know, the Kingpin from Daredevil, or again from the Marvel universe. And it's like, wow, are we really moving Penguin from being that the jokey character that we saw in 1960s 66 Batman, you know, with the purple hat and the umbrellas? We're shifting the idea that he's more like the Kingpin we saw in Daredevil, and this again incredible mob boss mentality sort of thing. I love it. I think it's amazing. I'm really excited for it. I know movies and TV shows change a lot about certain comic book characters, and I feel like this is one of those changes for the better, and I'm really excited to see the effect of that in the comic books going forward. So yeah, I'm really excited for this TV series, and the quality of this, from what we've seen so far in the trailer, just looks gorgeous. Like, it looks amazing, from the lighting to the mood, the score, of course. Again, you could tell. Yes. So, in comic book news, this is really interesting. So, DC have announced a sort of mini series, I guess, or an event. I'd say this is kind of an event, but then that's probably because I'm a bit of a fanboy. But either way, they've announced an event called Night Terrors, and it's spelled night as in Arthurian night. And what makes this really exciting, and some of these covers and everything look amazing, but from what I've seen and read, it seems what are DC characters' worst nightmares to take place. I think it's a really interesting concept. You know, what these characters that we've known for possibly nearly 80 years, some of these, what are their biggest fears? And I think this is going to be a fun event to kind of explore that in. And we've got, like, for those who are listening, we've got cover art of Batman almost merging with Deadman, a popular sort of phantom ghost character that, again, only certain other characters can see. So he's kind of fun. But yeah, there's so many sort of great covers and visuals that are already being posted by artists and stuff online. We're currently on the DC website, just scrolling through some of these image visuals. The one I think is the most hilarious is the Joker visuals that we're seeing. So the idea that the Joker fears the most is having a sort of 9 to 5 mundane life, to oppose being this, like, crime prince, no, prince of crime, I think is the correct term there. But yeah, I think some of these visuals look amazing. I can't wait for this to come out. I believe it's coming out around August. But yeah, you got to check out some of these. Head over to the DC Comics website to see some of these, or Night Terrors on Twitter. Again, you'll see so many comic book artists and writers post about it. So kind of reminds me a little bit of when the Deceased series started. For those who are unaware, it's kind of DC's version of zombies. All of the covers, all the individual covers for the series, were famous horror movies, but replaced with DC characters. So an example is, I've got an issue somewhere in here. I used to have one hung up on the wall, but it was the It cover with the red balloon, but the Joker was the clown, and instead of Georgie in the yellow raincoat, you had a Robin with his yellow cape. And it visually it was fantastic. So yeah, it kind of reminds me of that, which amazing. Can't wait. So in other comic book news, here we go. It was announced that there will be an event called the Fall of X. This seems to be the sort of I've heard mixed things. I assumed this was going to be the end of the sort of X-Men era that we've been currently living in, I guess you could say, the Cocoa era, as other people may know it as. So the recent line of X-Men titles, I thought this would be a way for them to kind of wrap up those titles, maybe have a new relaunch, which it seems to be the case. There will be a relaunch. But wow, it's been an incredible run. Of course, we've talked about it before on the podcast, started by Jonathan Hickman and his House of X, Power of X, and reshaped the whole sort of X-Men status quo. So it's going to be really interesting to see where this will go for the future of the X titles. And we're already starting to see certain things. So again, on Twitter, this could be a bit of a spoiler, but we're already seeing certain titles coming out of the Fall of X. So of course we will have the X-Men series continue, but we're getting Astonishing Iceman, Wolverine, Children of the Vault, Incredible Iron Man, interesting, Dark X-Men, Uncanny Avengers, Realm of X, X-Men Red, Alpha Flight, X-Force, Uncanny Spider-Man, and lastly, Immortal X-Men. Now, some of these titles are already currently running. So, for example, Immortal X-Men is an existing title. So it's really exciting, all these new titles and things off the back of it. Now, what's so exciting, again, you're starting to see a few images and covers being published by not only the Marvel Comics Twitter thread, but also certain artists and authors as well, posting covers, and they look amazing. They look so cool. One of my favorites is the Dark X-Men cover. And what's really interesting here, it's almost like the teen lineup on the front cover. So on the cover, you've got Dark Angel in the background. You've got Havoc, who's the brother of Cyclops. Got Marilyn Pryor, who is the sister, or the clone of Jean Grey. So again, it's kind of like an evil twin sort of vibe. Gambit is part of the Dark X-Men. Azazel, who is the father of Nightcrawler. We've also got Cyborg Wolverine. Because why not? Why not? So yeah, I think this is going to be really fun, really cool. Again, really interesting to see why these characters have band together to form their own Dark X-Men. Yeah, I think the art looks amazing for this. Really interesting, really fun. Some other titles that came out. This one came out. This image circulated online earlier this week. Excuse me. And I'm just blown away by it. So what we have here is the Uncanny Spider-Man cover. Now, for all of our audio listeners, the Uncanny Spider-Man image, and again, feel free to check this out on Undisputed Nerds YouTube channel where I'm showing this currently. On the cover, we've got what looks like Spider-Man, of course, web slinging through the city, but he's not web slinging, he's teleporting. And he's teleporting because this is Nightcrawler. This is Nightcrawler, and you can tell due to certain characteristics of Nightcrawler, such as his famous feet and hands, of course, the tail and the pointy ears. But he is donning the sort of black and red, almost giving the symbiote vibe. If you look at the crest on the chest, but either way, I think this is a really cool image. I'm not sure what it means though for the rest of the Marvel like lineup. Like, is Peter Parker still Spider-Man? Is Miles Morales still a Spider-Man? Like, why is Nightcrawler donning a Spider-Man outfit of sorts? I think it's going to be really interesting. It leaves a lot of questions. I'm really excited to find out in, I want to say it's August time when this comes out again for the summer. What does this all mean, and how will it affect the rest of the Marvel universe or the Marvel comics? I know a lot of sort of comic readers and such will be cynical, and they'll say this won't affect the other Marvel comics. X-Men almost feels slightly detached from the rest of the Marvel universe at the moment with their own stuff going on, and I can agree to that to an extent. I think it's, you know, things like Judgment Day, again, an event that happened not too long ago. I felt like that was really cool, and again, kind of felt like it folded in with the rest of the Marvel universe. But I'm really interested to see what effects this had. The other sort of image that I saw that's been circulating is this image of Ghost Rider Wolverine. Again, an incredible idea. Wolverine could be a Ghost Rider. I could already imagine him on the flaming bike and stuff. This image has flaming claws, to opposed to, again, a chain of some sort. It's usually synonymous with Ghost Rider. But I don't know if this is something that's current or this will happen at the end of Fall of X or anything along those lines. I haven't really done the research yet because I don't really want to spoil myself. But if enough people are interested, let me know in the comments down below. Again, this visual is just astonishing. It's probably one of the easiest words to say. I think it's so cool. It feels weird that we're getting more of these sort of ideas of characters crossing over or merging together in some way. Again, the sort of Spider-Man, Nightcrawler idea and this Ghost Rider Wolverine idea. Let me know how you feel about that, because again, at first it's kind of like, I kind of like Ghost Rider should be its own thing, but at the same time, if Wolverine became a Ghost Rider of sorts, not too long ago we had a Punisher that was a Ghost Rider, which again on paper is an amazing idea, and to be fair, in execution it was pretty cool too. I believe that he was like the Cosmic Rider. Again, my memory's hazy. I'm terrible, but I kind of dig it. The visual's amazing. Let me know what your thoughts are on these heroes merging or taking up mantles. Kind of rejuvenates both heroes in some way. Rejuvenates the Ghost Rider. Maybe gets more people to read that. I know, probably would. Probably gets more people in, say, for example, Nightcrawler. But who wouldn't be? I mean, but I digress. I think that's today's episode. I can't believe I've been talking for nearly 40 minutes. Well, 45 minutes. Wow. So I have to say thank you for listening to today's episode. Next episode, Gigi will be back, and we'll no doubt catch up and talk about some other cool things. Again, thank you to Surfshark VPN, as always, for sponsoring today's episode. And we will no doubt catch up next time. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And take care of yourselves. Peace.